My next guest has been added to the speaker list at the DNC after originally being left out. Joining us now is former Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang. Andrew, you initially weren't on the schedule to speak, and you put out a tweet saying you were kind of surprised by that. Now you are speaking, so how did this come about?
The power of the Yang Gang, but I think I was going to be on the list anyway, Anna. They released a preliminary list. I wasn't on it, and I'm grateful to all of the people who expressed that I should be there. And I'm thrilled even more to be addressing the American people as part of the DNC convention on Thursday night, the night that Joe's going to accept the nomination. So thank you to everyone who let the DNC know. But the DNC, it seemed like I was going to be on the docket in no time anyway.
You obviously ran a competitive campaign. You attracted a large following, as you mentioned, on your key platform of universal basic income. Beyond that, though, is the diversity issue. And Congressman Ted Lieu pointed out the lack of Asian American speakers at the DNC before you were announced. He called it a slap in the face. Do you agree?
I'm very proud to be the first Asian American man to run for president as a Democrat, and I met people around the country that were inspired by my candidacy. Having someone from different communities on that big stage at the DNC National Convention or the presidential debates, I think is very important because people see themselves in the candidates, and the fact that an Asian American was on that debate stage, I think led many Asian Americans to think that we need to get more involved in our politics, to run for office, to vote, to donate, and to make our voices heard.
On that same issue, Senator Kamala Harris, now the first Black and Asian American woman on a presidential ticket. How does that make you feel?
I feel great about it, just like the vast majority of Americans are excited about Kamala being added to the ticket. I just saw a poll that said that her approval ratings are through the roof, and it's one advantage to Joe selecting someone who's already been in the presidential race and in the public eye for these last number of months. But it's a thrill to see her break new ground as both a woman of color, a Black woman, and an Asian American woman who's going to be our next vice president.
And yet it's exposed the dark underbelly of parts of our society because since the announcement, birtherism has returned. An article in Newsweek questioning Harris's eligibility because of her immigrant parents. The president wouldn't denounce this or say that he believes Harris is eligible. I mean, just to be clear, the facts are the facts, and she was born in California, so clearly she's an American citizen. He did say, though, he will not pursue this birtherism theory. Can you believe, though, that this is happening again?
Well, he's got a very tired playbook, Anna, and he's losing. And so he's going back to the things that helped bring him some degree of success, but it's not working because the American people are focused on what's happening to our country today. The fact that the coronavirus crisis has led us to lose tens of millions of jobs, the fact that parents like me and Evelyn aren't sure whether our children's school is going to open in the next number of days. Those are the things the American people care about. And the fact that Trump is trying to divert the American people's attention is one reason why he's set to lose very badly to Joe and Kamala in just, at this point, less than 3 months.
You sound like you're part of Team Biden, and I know you told Yahoo last month you'd been in talks with the team, with Biden's camp, about a position in the administration if he wins the election. What role are you thinking?
I ran for president on a set of issues that I'm very passionate about. Unfortunately, those issues are more front and center today than they were even when I was running. This pandemic has accelerated many of the trends I was most concerned about. And if I have a chance to work with Joe and Kamala to help address these concerns, Anna, I'm going to be one of the first on board for sure. And in terms of the capacity, the actual position, there are a lot of things that I think I could help with, but ultimately that would be up to Joe and Kamala.
But if you could pick your role, what would it be?
Well, I'm passionate about the fact that America is falling behind in terms of figuring out how technology is impacting our lives. Everything from our democracy to the mental health of our children to the fact that our data is now getting sold and resold for hundreds of billions of dollars a year and we're not seeing a dime. So if there is a role that helps face some of these issues and helps speed up our government, that would be something I'd be very interested in.
So in the Obama administration, you were the presidential ambassador for global entrepreneurship. And again, your whole campaign was related to the economy. So do you perhaps have your eye on a labor or treasury role?
We all know that I ran for president on this idea of universal basic income, and a poll just came out that said a majority of Americans now support universal basic income, and 74% support cash relief during this crisis. Anything we can do to get more buying power into the hands of the American people is going to be a huge win for the economy and for families and our communities. And I'm thrilled that Kamala is one of the leaders in proposing cash relief as a senator.
CNN learning just last night that Democrats are now considering returning to Capitol Hill to address the recent changes at the US Postal Service that could impact the election when more people, of course, are going to be voting by mail. Do you have confidence right now this election will be free and fair?
I wish I had greater confidence on it, just like millions of Americans were looking around saying, is this happening that a sitting president is literally trying to undermine the Postal Service and cast doubt on this race? I'm confident that the American people will want to make a change in November. I think the margin of victory will be so great that the results will be clear, but we have to do everything we can to protect the integrity of our elections, and that includes potentially bringing people back to DC to pass funding, not just for American families and to keep our economy from tipping into a depression, but also making sure that our Postal Service and our postal workers have the resources they need to process our votes promptly on November 3rd, or leading up to, because mail-in obviously can take a number of days or weeks ahead of time.
Right, and a lot of states, in fact, have to have the mail-in ballots or have them dropped off at least by Election Day. Andrew Yang, thank you as always for joining us, and good luck on the speakers stage this week at the DNC.
See you at the convention, Anna. It's going to be great.
I'll see you virtually, indeed.